The Handmaid's Tale has been a television sensation, winning 15 Emmys since its premiere back in 2017. The show about a dystopian America where women are forced to give birth is based on the 1985 novel by Margaret Atwood. The Handmaid's Tale is just one of Atwood's 18 published novels. Now she is leaning on her first genre, poetry. Paper Boat is a compilation of 60 years worth of poems written over a career that has produced more works than even she could have imagined.
Yeah, so it is my first book. It was called Double Persephone.
From the novella she adorned and bound herself.
We went around and hand sold them to the bookstores.
To her most famous.
And these are the original drafts.
Yes, they are.
Margaret Atwood's storied career.
We had a flatbed press and we hand set all of these poems.
Well, a smidgen of it.
I cannot read your writing at all.
Nobody can.
Was laid out for us at the University of Toronto's Thomas Fisher Rare Book Library.
I thought it was interesting, the archivist here started us with December 30th, 1959 letter to you.
Yes.
Do you remember this?
It's a rejection letter. Not the only one I got.
Her humor and humility combined in the same breath.
Everybody gets rejection letters.
And yet you kept on.
Everybody keeps on.
She delivered a mighty opus, 18 novels, 11 works of nonfiction, 8 children's books, 2 graphic novels, a ballet, an opera,
Betrayal.
and some 18 volumes of poetry.
When you stumble across your lover and your friend naked together in or on a bed, there are several things that might be said.
Her latest, a 600-page anthology called Paper Boat.
I continued writing those things.
When this octogenarian goes on book tour, her fans show up.
I think at this stage of the game, people want to get to know you a little bit better. What will they glean from this?
I have no idea. So I can't tell you what a reader is going to glean from it because I don't know who the reader is going to be. So I look back at some of the earlier poems and I think, I must have been very odd. And then I look at some of the later ones and I think, I must be really old.
Poetry may just be Atwood's default.
What is your writing process?
Wish I knew. I never went to creative writing school because there weren't any. So I wasn't aware that I had to have a writing process, and if I had been aware that I had to have one, I would have paid more attention to it. So I think it's called this. You have this thing called a piece of paper. You put words on it. If you like those words, they stay. If you don't like them, you cross them out. And if you don't like the whole thing, you throw it in the wastepaper basket.
The 2-time Booker Prize awardee has been a literary star for decades, writing speculative fiction on everything from feminism to climate change. But her popularity exploded after her 1985 novel, The Handmaid's Tale, hit the small screen.
Teach her a lesson. Teach her a lesson.
Imagining an America that enslaved women for the sole purpose of bearing children.
She's dead. She's dead by now.
It's been tried before. Didn't put anything into The Handmaid's Tale that had not already happened.
It struck a chord after the 2016 election and a promise to end abortion rights. Although written in the era of another Republican president, Ronald Reagan.
Going crazy.
It seemed less of a possibility then, certainly to some readers and some reviewers who said, don't be silly, this would never happen in the United States. And now they're saying there should not be an instruction manual.
What is that for you to be witnessing?
Well, you know, I would rather have been wrong, given the choice.
Atwood leans on the lessons of history.
Very different times we're living in.
They're very different times, but all times have been different from what came before. What you do is surf the wave, do not despair, try to have a clear-eyed view of what is going on. A return to civilized speech is in order and the ability to listen to what other people are saying and understand perhaps why they are saying it.
A research skill she learned from her parents, both scientists, who raised her in the outdoors of Ontario.
I therefore grew up more with the biologists than with any kind of writer. And that's why I'm so picky about particulars.
That's why you're so specific about getting things right.
That's a very nice way of putting it.
Is part of your, I don't know if it's a drive or a mission,
Compulsion.
compulsion?
Well, I think I'm interested in the difference between what people say and what they do. I knew a lot of people who had escaped from Europe for one reason or another, so I was very interested in human rights.
We spoke to Atwood twice, in New York before the U.S. election and in Toronto the day after.
So what do you make of our latest news?
She said she was certain of a different outcome.
I'm going to get a lot of inbounds going, boo-hoo, 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 and I'm going to say this is not the end of the world.
In fact, she's looking ahead to her next book adapted for television, a sequel to The Handmaid's Tale entitled The Testaments.
It's about how such regimes fall apart from the inside.
As for her own retirement,
Who's retiring?
I knew it.
Yeah, writers don't retire. They just get worse.
I'm about to hold a manuscript by Margaret Atwood.
but Margaret Atwood's last book isn't likely to be published in our lifetime. The time-capsuled manuscript is among the works of authors around the globe to be unveiled in 2114, the 100th anniversary of the future Library of Norway.
Well, I mean, can you give us a hint?
No, I'm not allowed.
And with that,
Look, the steel bowl is almost full, enough for all of us.
we conveniently turn back to Paper Boat.
The blackberries gleam like the glass ornaments we hang on trees in December.
And the poetic cadence readers have come to expect.
It's as I always told you, the best ones grow in shadow.
I know the secret now.
What's the secret?
You have to read it
Out loud.
out loud. She really kept me on my toes. I mean, I have to say I was a little nervous speaking to her because she's so specific. Language means something very specific to her. And you got to make sure when you ask her a question, you are asking the question you mean, not what you thought. But she is, man, she kept me on my toes. She's game for anything. I don't know if you caught her little cameo in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
She's so distinctive.
I also love that she said, when you asked about retirement, writers don't retire. They just get worse. Hopefully not. I haven't noticed her getting worse, so it's working for her.
She's still got it going on.